So, um, we're going to start off with, well, of course, we have last scene. We have already done our um, to do crude. So what we're going to do now is actually go for um, transform our work and transform our code in essence to become OpenAPI powered in essence, OpenAPI enabled. So we're going for a design first, or transforming our work into a design API design first. Um, so so we're going to do new issue OpenAPI transform. No. Let's refactor our code to OpenAPI standards. So um, we'll install, let's checking my notes. Let's install Fastify, OpenAPI Glue, as well as Fastify Swagger. Create um, specifications and services. So let's submit a new issue and create a branch. Actually, we don't need that now. We're going to click on this and click on Git bot. So I need to go back. So first things first, we're going to remove these. So we're going to remove this and remove this part. Now that it has been removed, we're going to install npmi save fastify open API glue and fastify swagger. Now, to use them, of course, that would mean importing them first. Import open API glue from fastify open API glue and import swagger from fastify swagger. So now we're going to remove this um, and from here we're just going to create cots open API glue options. We'll add the prefix here. So just follow me first. If you have questions, you can ask the questions on the document that I have given, or you can go for the comments on the Google Classroom. So cots swagger options. Let's just expose route to true. Then we'll have it as fastify register swagger options first. I mean swagger first. And then next is fastify register open API glue open API glue options. Now, one So let's git add all, git commit, feat add open API glue and swagger, then git push. Now, after this, if we try it out, so let's try it out. Npm start might not work. So yeah, cannot find JSON, YAML, or file name data. The specification is needed. So we will create that specification. So on the sources specification, we'll create a folder, and then we'll add the index. Now in the index, we'll a export a variable called specification, which is this, and then we'll have our we'll have we'll have it imported. Import um, specification slash index.js. There you go. Specification. So I have made an error here. So there you go. And then just put it in. So here in the Swagger options, it is asking the OpenAPI, which we'll use also as specification. Just a reminder though, what this means is actually this, but for a short form, we can just do this. It will also be the same. Now it's again, the specification parameter must contain a valid version of the 2.0 or 3.1. So for that, we'll just look at the specification. Actually, you can also look at the video on about OpenAPI that I have made. But what it really needs is the OpenAPI and info. So if we added that in, so OpenAPI, so for now, we have 3.0, although it says here it's 3.1, but for our purposes, we will use 3.0. And then the info, if we look into it, info object, what is required is the title and the version. So let's have the title, which is to do app, and our version, which is 0.0.1. Now, it is asking for paths. So while this is sort of, it doesn't say required, on our terms or on our system, it is required. So path is, now, thing is, we'll try to write it out. Say get summary API general. Let's say for now. So this one, it actually means the thing that we did before, which is uh, just this. Just going to put it here because the prefix that we have is already set here. So in essence, we have automatically put the prefix here, so we don't need to add like this thing. So the root of that prefix will be put here. And then let's just say the responses. So how do I know that this will be the setup? We'll go on the paths object, and this is the path. Then the path item object. What is the path item object? It has a description, a get, put, post, delete option. So this is sort of the methods, and each operation would have um, parameters, request body, and so on and so forth. So we're adding the responses object. So just follow me here for now. And then if a response is 200, if a response is 200, um, successful response, and the content would be an application JSON with the schema that is a type of object which has property. So you see that it's like um, in English it can be understood easily with the property success that is a type boolean. So in essence we are defining the what the setup will be. Now, you'll see here there's like either a service or operation resolver are required. Uh, to do that, the reason why I created services is this. So I will create index.js here. And what I will be doing is I will import everything that we did in um, our services folder. So import so I'm just going to check create to do from to do's uh, create to do JS, import delete to do from to do's delete to do.js, import get many to do from to do's get many to do.js, import get to do from to do's get to do.js, and import update to do from to do's update to do.js. I'm going to create a class service and constructor app. This is for maybe for later use. And then I'm just going to do this. So for a property or function general, it's equal to the general function that we have created. The same with create to do, as well as delete to do, and get many to do, get to do, and update to do. So that is the setup. What we'll need to do next is on the oops, we just add this one. Ah, no, but this one, and then app.js we will import service from the services. Then we just create const services equals new service. Oh, not services, just service. Then we'll add it here. So once that is done, now the thing is, what you can do is instead of going to Postman, we can go to /docs. Oops, we should put the root prefix to /docs. There you go, I forgot about that. Slash docs, and it automatically creates this page for you, which if we try it out, of course, it will return an error because the operation is not yet implemented. So even with this, how do we set it up in such a way that whatever we have designed here, it connects to the part here. So as you can see, we have made it in such a way that this is the unique um, unique function name for that particular um, function or operation. So we just add operation ID and then that name. So you don't need to import it as such, and we just make sure that everything is running. We refresh this, try it out, and execute, and it returns already what we have done. So let's try designing now the other APIs. So for the to do, so we have to do. Again, remember this is API to do already because of the prefix. For this one, we can have post and get because we know that in our app we have, so we'll just delete this, we have both of this with post and get. So let's design the post. Summary is, we want to say that uh, create a to do. Now of course the operation ID is create to do, and the responses is so 200 description, a to do object. And then let's describe the object as content, um, which is an application JSON object, and the schema is a type of object, which is the properties are the, what's this? The properties are ID, which is of type string, um, what's this again? Title, which is another of type string, and we'll put this below so that it's not it will be bigger. I mean the code ID is has a bigger size or space or area. Title description is done is type boolean. Then created date is, whoops, type number. We know that it's type number based on whatever we have done before. Type number. So now what we can do is also, because get is something that, let's copy this, and actually we get many to do, get many to do, then just checking, type string, not string, this type items with not items, array, and the items are an item of type object, nope, object, and properties are this one. Uh, so it says here it is still showing an error, so I guess I've made a problem. Oh, okay. So I put it in here on the get part, so I should put it on the correct um, place. I should put it here. So I'm going to, okay, so it's correct. Uh-huh. I have get summary. Suppose I'll remove this first, just in case it is giving off some problems. Okay, so it says here additional properties. Okay. Operation ID. The spelling of my operation ID is incorrect. So it says here the paths to do get responses. Paths to do get responses. Pass. Oh, okay. For this one, let's get responses description application JSON is the type array items. Yeah, there you go. Items. Now it's working. Now let's try it out first. Refresh. Now there's the API to do, which doesn't have the parameters, but if we do this, you'll see there's the example. If we try it out, execute, it works as intended. Now, the thing is, to before I add the parameters here, if I execute this, this will not work. Um, as you can see, the title body is undefined. If we check the errors here, um, type cannot destructive property of undefined. And we can see it on line 6 11, line 6, character 11. This one, this means that the title description is not there. So how do we put that in? We can create, so let's check the OpenAPI specifications on how to add a definition for the request body. So request body, just check. There's a description, content, and required. So this is the example. Um, Description, content. So we'll define it. Um, Request body is with description. The request body for to do. Um, what's that again? Content. So content. then we have to define that we are expecting an application JSON. And then the schema is this. We can go for up to here, but we are not expecting ID. Content. And what's this again? Required is we are requiring title and the description. So for here, if we refresh it, oh, let's see, it is not working. So post require, see description, application JSON, required. I think, yeah, is the, let's go back. So request body, content, request body, schema, type object. Let's remove required first. Let's see if it works. Yeah, okay, so it works. So required true. Let us see. So request body, click on it. Ah, yeah, required true, sorry. Required true. I'm sorry about that. Now, for the schema, we can, let's see. We can object type object schema. Let's just check. Okay, I think we have set as, let's say, can we try this through? Okay, so it's not working as intended. Um, mhm. Okay, so now I know where to put the other required. So here we can add required title and description. So there you go. We'll try it out. Again, on the post, you can see that the request body is required. If we try it out, if we remove the title or the description and execute it, let's say, it will return a 400 bad request. Body must have the proper required properties. So let's have the required properties. And if we execute it now, it will return the proper body. So in essence, if we remove everything, we didn't put in any parameters, it will have it will do an error without the need to check if title and description has value. So The other thing that we want is to have the ability to have the limit or get the limit, because on get many we are expecting the limit from the query. So how do we do that? We just go back to um, here, and we are going to get it from the parameters object. So parameters, um, one example for that is we are going to, so parameter object is, so there are four possible parameter locations. It can be on the path, on the query, header, or cookie. So we're going to get it from the query. So you need to have a name in and if it's required or not. So let's have it this way. So parameters, the name is limit in query, and then the type is a number. Oh, not type, sorry. Should be, what's that again? The schema, sorry. Schema type is a number. So we can have a description, the number of items returned. There you go. And so let's see our get many, and you'll have the limit. If we try it out, we return 3, we get only 3 items. And we can see what's the example of calling our um, app. So execute 2, and that is what it will return. So now the thing is, it is something sort of like it's getting longer. So first things first is we want to reuse parts of our um, items, which is actually this one is also equal to this one. So how do we set this up? We set it up by, let's go back to our open schema, and we are going to create a components object. So components, then schema. So let's do that. Um, we'll just close this one. We'll go for components, and then schema. Then from here on out, the schema is actually just a set of objects that we have done. So let's say we'll have a to-do object. A to-do object is actually just this. There you go. Uh-huh. I think I made an error. Schemas, sorry. Should be schemas, because we have a lot of schemas. Okay, so now, once that we are done, take note of this ID. And what we will do is we can make this as a reference with, well, there, as you can see, hashtag components schemas. So we'll do that. Hashtag component schemas and to do object. Then we'll also copy this on this one. Schema is the same. And if we refresh it, can still get that schema, and then we also have the schemas here. So in essence, we have some form of reusability. So some form of reusability. Then we can also have it here, like the to-do object is to-do request object is a type of object that has the properties of these things. And then, but let's say this is required. So we'll have a required that is title and description. So again, just copy, replace the schema with this and request, what's that? Sorry, request required object. So there you go. It's showing up now. If we check our Swagger UI on the post, it will still have that example schema, but we have this as well. So as you can see, there is like the asterisk to say that these are required. So now we have some form of um, reusability. What's next? You can refactor this in such a way that the paths is and to dos is um, the paths and to dos are not this long. So what we can do is, let's say for the general, we have this, then index.js. Then we can just copy this one. Export const general is equals to this. Now we have this. Then we'll just import general from index.js. Then we just do general here. Then the next is we can also create to do. So for to do, can copy this, export const to do. There you go. And then import it as well. Okay, so we'll import to do. There you go. And then just have it as this one. Actually, we can put it on the paths folder, both of them. So I'm updating the imports for to do so that it will have this. And I'm also putting general as well in paths. And then we try to update this. So automatically it updates that path. And just for kicks, we can have a paths here, index.js. Well, we can export const paths, and we just copy this one here. But instead of like that, we don't need the paths anymore. We just do the same thing and to do. So now we just need the paths here and just do this. So now we have the paths object, and we check it out again, we'll still have the same setup. Now, why did I do that? It's to make sure that this one is clean, and that means we'll have to create components as well. So before that, I'm going to just git add all just to show you so that you can see the commits. Git add all um, refactor, move the code towards specification as well as refactor paths. So git push, I will push later. So we'll just create a components which um, export const components, and we'll need schemas. So we'll create some form of schemas here. So from here, we export const schemas. Now we just copy the schemas from here. Okay. And then just import schemas from that folder, index.js. And then put that whole object here. And then we just go back to our initial schema specification. Then we import components. From components, we just remove this, and in essence, it still works the same. Now, let's add the other items here in our system. So let's close all of these. We just need the to do. Um, so there's the request body. Um, okay, so what we'll need is for the other to-dos, which is to-do ID. So what do we have here? We have the get, we have the put, and we have the delete, because that's what we need. Then we'll just have this we'll get a to-do, update a to-do, and delete a to-do. Of course, we will use the get to-do here, which is in this um, naming convention that we did. We have update to-do, and lastly, we have delete to-do. Now, we'll just use a response. This one, we just get a to-do object. So that is correct. This one, we still also get the to-do object, but this one will copy the general, the responses, because we are just returning a success true. So success. Oh, copy this. Actually, we will copy the whole responses. There you go. Then we'll do this. Now, we'll also have a request body on the update, but we will not require the title and description. So we will change one of the schemas. We'll copy the to-do request required. We just have a to-do request and remove the required. So here, now that we have updated that, we just remove the required here. Now, another thing that we will have to set is the parameters. So we'll add the parameters on all of them, but instead of using limit, we'll get the to-do ID, which this one, and based on the specification for that, go back to OpenAPI paths, path item object. Let's say get, then parameters. Um, we'll say required. So this is required true, and the number of items returned. This is the ID of the to do, and this is a string. And this is supposed to be coming from the path. Now, again, as you can see, we will need to copy this every now and then. So we will need to add on the schemas object. So components, not schemas, but components. And we will go for the parameters. So we'll create a parameters folder, index.js. So parameter object. So for this one, we'll have export const parameters. We'll have the to do parameter ID, which is, if we put it here, just copy this one. Oops, sorry. Copy the whole object here. And then let's add the parameters. Parameters. And then add it before schemas. Yep, it's working. And then instead of this, we will have $ref hashtag components parameters to do parameter ID, and it works. Now we'll just have to copy this in our responses. If we refresh this, oops, oh, sorry, put it on the responses. We should put it on the delete. Okay, we refresh this. We'll now have the get, put, delete. So let's just get one, try it out. Oh, sorry. This uh, we just get one. So let's execute this. We'll get one ID. Try it out. See if this shows. Okay. Um, put. If you want to edit the string, so like let's say string execute, we are able to update it. And last is delete and success true, which is now if we try to get it, let's try to get it again. Execute, it will return 404 not found. So given this, we have essentially have created a design first API. Now, just to remind you, when it comes to responses, you must need to properly specify what kind of response are we returning. So, like just an example, in our schema, if we remove, let's say, created date, or yeah, if we remove updated date on our schemas, even if we are returning on if we are returning the whole object, or if in the to-dos there's a originally we have the updated date, if we get all of the to-dos, you will see that there will be no updated date here. Again, even if we specify, let's say for get many to do's, or yeah, get many, get to do, let's just say get to do, we say um, something true, even if we always specify, let's just get one ID and put it here, it will not show that something, that variable or property something, and it doesn't show the updated date. So the only way, so if we put it back in and execute, it will now show the updated date. But our get to do has needs something true. So if we added, let's say something type boolean and execute, then that is also going to show. If we made it as a number, it will return the number version of that um, value. Return it as a string, execute, it will return as a string. So yeah, try to take note, we only have like three primitive types: the string, boolean, and number. And then there are two um, types, that is not primitive, which is object and array. So so there you go. Let's remove this one. Before everything else, let's see if we did some problems on our code by running the test. It should run smoothly. Okay. Something failed, which is on get to do. It made a 404. So let's just try it out again. Might be because of the DB. Yep. Okay. It's just a collision of the IDs. So now it's working. We are the refactor. How we refactored the code didn't break our test cases. So in essence, the reason why we did the test beforehand is for us to allow us to refactor um, and then see if our code didn't change the behavior of um, the whole system. Our refactor didn't change the whole behavior of the system. So, given that, we'll git add all, git commit, fit, refactor everything, git push, and then we'll just compare pull, refactor code to refactored, code to Open API standards, merge pull request, confirm merge, and then delete branch. So if we git check out main, git pull, and I think that's it. And we are done for this session.